I'm going to start the show off tonight a bit differently than usual.
Well, hello everyone. I'm back again with another installment for Felduary. And this is my last video, unfortunately, for the month of Felduary, because as you know, next Monday I'm going to go back to uploading my Anime Monday again. Anyhow, I got to thinking, The Lost Boys, it's a great show, and it definitely needs a resurface again. Does anyone remember The Karate Kid, and how Cobra Kai has resurfaced, and it's actually brought in a huge new popularity for The Karate Kid? I think that The Lost Boys needs this too. And what better way to do it than with the Frog Brothers? Because vampire slaying, even though it's sort of similar to Angel, but I kind of picture that Buffy and Angel sort of copy this style, is pretty badass. And I'm going to flat out say it. This video is going to be about how I would do a Frog Brothers TV series. I'll be talking about story concepts, the casting, the characters that I would bring in, and just certain castings that I would do and who I would want to handle it. So let's get things started and let's start pretty much talking about this shit. Let's hit it! First off, I'm going to talk about the story concepts with the Frog Brothers themselves, what they'll be doing. Now, there is just mainly one concept I have on the brain right now, so this one won't be too long. It's going to be very similar to Cobra Kai, about how it's kind of a passing the torch for a new generation. It could take events after a few years after the third movie that came out, because honestly, the third movie itself wasn't that bad. It was actually a pretty good movie. But it had some really bad stopping positions. However, I still pop in the third movie once every couple of years just to check it out. I don't watch the second one at all because the second one is ass. But here's what I'm thinking for the story concept anyhow. The concept is the Frog Brothers are going around Santa Carla trying to kill off and rid vampires. But they are getting up in age, and they can't really keep up with the fighting anymore. So they kind of start an academy where they train other vampire slayers to join in. And that's not it. Now, if anyone remembers the second Lost Boys, Edgar had to slay Sam out of the entire run of the second movie because Sam was now a vampire and he was given little to no choice. So he had to slay Sam. And I think Sam should have a son. And the son kind of joins a fatherly bond with Edgar personally because, well, you've got to think about it this way. Edgar, I don't think, would ever move on from vampire slaying. I don't think he would have a family. I don't think he would have any kids. And I think the same goes for Alan, too. So he would join up in this fatherly-like bond. But there would also be antagonists of the series too, which I will get into when I get to the next segment. Anyway, he joins up with a fatherly bond with Sam's son, who I'm going to name Samuel. And Samuel is basically very close with Edgar because it was basically his father's best friend. He didn't know much about his dad. He died shortly when Sam was killed off. It's really interesting. But Sam, I would have him be more of a half vampire. Also, there is a rival group of vampire slayers that are just out to ruin the Frog Brothers, which I will get to that once I get to the character segment on who it is. Anyhow, this is pretty much my basis of the story. At least about a 10 or 12 episode season 1 as a trial season to try it out, and if it does bring in a crowd from the Lost Boys crowd and etc., yeah, it would work perfectly here. However, there's got to be more to it than that, and that's why I think the antagonists of the show, besides being just vampires, should be rival vampire hunters as well, ones who bring better business than the Frog Brothers themselves. The Frog Brothers I could see kind of going under-ish, even though this is borrowed heavily from the third movie. It's still, they're not making the money that they were making, and it sucks. And I think that the other version of the Frog Brothers is going to be ran by someone else. And like I said, that someone else is actually one of the first vampire hunters in the entire series, or in the movie. At least it was hinted that he was. But this vampire hunter is running it out to get vengeance on the Frog Brothers themselves. Edgar would be mostly the same as he was in the third movie, and same with Alan. Alan himself has just got done being a vampire, so he's still trying to get back in touch with his human body as well. Honestly, this story I think is the best fit, passing the torch to the new generation, and if we get that, that would be fucking awesome. Now, I'm gonna go jump to the characters that I want to see in this, and what their roles are gonna be. And there is one character here that I did form a backstory for, but I'll get to that momentarily. Anyhow, let's move on to the characters that I'm gonna be giving special detail to. First off, there's Michael, and I don't know what the original actor would be doing that played Michael, but I'm pretty sure he could come back, and I would love to see him come back. For his character arc, I sort of see him as, well, he wants revenge on the Frog Brothers, Edgar especially, for the death of Sam. He already knew it was too late to save Sam from becoming a full-fledged vampire, because Sam had already taken victims and had tried to take victims. This time I think Michael should return as sort of a rival character to the Frog Brothers, as in he's trying to destroy their business, and he forms a special bond with Samuel, Sam's son, who unfortunately is somebody he's training to be kind of like a double agent. I could see Michael as more as an antagonist instead of a full-out villain, but he's trying to learn all their tricks, and he's trying to put the Frog Brothers out of business because he blames Sam's death on them, and he was very close to Sam in the movie, you could tell. Plus, we don't really know whatever happened to Michael. I mean, he's mentioned in the passing sentences or two in the second and third movie that Edgar didn't want to involve them into the mess. But I would like to see if Michael kind of went to a worse set after Sam's death, and that would actually be pretty smart. In my book anyway, it would be. Because if he's just sitting back holding on to revenge and trying to ruin the Frog Brothers for what they did to his brother, I could see it completely happening. Maybe Sam was in the original Frog Brothers group, and then when Sam turned to the worst side, Edgar didn't have much choice but to slay him. And since Sam's soul was completely gone, because once you're a vampire you lose your soul, that's pretty much it. I could see him kind of telling and manipulating Samuel, the character that is Sam's son in this series, to try to get all the secrets from the Frog Brothers, try to get information from them. But however, Samuel ends up forming a strong bond with the Frog Brothers, especially. He's one of their best students, and he's trying to mainly destroy the academy itself, so that way his academy can run supreme and he could take out all the vampires and get their business. He's basically doing this all out of spite for the death of his brother. He blames them, one, for his brother's death, obviously, because Edgar had to do it, and two, it may have been hinted that it was Edgar's fault that Sam turned into a vampire. That would make it so much more compelling. Now, as him being with Star, and I'm not going to talk about Star on this list because I find her to be a pointless character in the first movie. She's the first movie's weakest character, in my opinion. Out of a movie full of vampires that some of them have dialogue and some don't, that's saying a lot. But I don't see him staying with Star. In fact, I see him kind of just stuck on this revenge kick, or stuck on this evil side to himself that, well, unfortunately, Star couldn't be with him that way. I could see him kind of resenting Star, or Star resenting him, but I could see them still being friends to a certain degree. She still helps him out, visits, and etc., but it's completely different than it was. And nothing's the same between them. I believe the romance didn't last, and it pretty much just died out at this point. But yeah, make Michael like the very first season antagonist besides the vampires. He's strictly wanting vengeance. That's what he's after. He's after to ruin their entire name and destroy their business entirely for taking his little brother away from him. Let's go to the next character. Next is Laddie. Laddie was also mentioned passingly in the third movie, I believe. And I think Laddie should be more... I kind of have a backstory crafted for him. I always believed this, and this was since I watched the movie when I was a teenager, that Laddie was basically, his parents were killed, and Star turned him into a vampire to keep him from being killed off. She did it out of sympathy. Now that Laddie's human, he's doing his own style of killing vampires, and he's also another rival vampire slayer for the Frog Brothers, unfortunately. But I see him as working alone. He's completely going after the vampires that ruined his life and took everything away from him. That he is kind of a Batman-style vampire slayer. He's going out into the night and killing off vampires throughout Santa Carla because the ones who killed his parents already are dead, but he is straightly going after them because he blames their death on them. I think that would give Laddie some more detail, because all we got from him was just a few scenes. He doesn't even talk through the entire movie, but at the very end where he says, "Star, Star," that's it. I think he deserves just a touch more character polish, and give him this tragic backstory with his parents being killed in front of him, and Star taking sympathy, which is why he was so close to Star. It would be a perfect run right there. I mean, we would find out all we need to know about Laddie, and I do believe the actor that plays Laddie is still acting to this day. What he's doing, I'm not sure, but honestly, his story would be a good side plot and a good feat for the Frog Brothers to have to fight up against. Maybe he could be working for Michael. Maybe that's the reason why Michael and Star are still friends, is because of Laddie, and Laddie's doing his own thing. Maybe Michael's manipulating Laddie to ruin the Frog Brothers. Now, I'm going to go to another character, and this character this is a cheat, mind you. This is who I think should play Samuel, and what I'm going to think of Samuel's character. So, let's move on to that. Now we have Samuel, and the actor who's playing Samuel, I would pick Justin Ealing. I can't pronounce that last name, I'm sorry. He actually portrayed Corey Haim in the movie A Tale of Two Corys that was produced by Feldman himself. This one, I would easily cast him to play the teenage angst son of Sam. And honestly, he just kind of looks like a very young Corey Haim. When I watched his performance in A Tale of Two Corys, he really had the role down. But I could see him being a sympathetic character. Now, this character, by acting-wise, could be done completely and utterly very wrong. So, you gotta find likability to this character. But I see him at first being more of a plot device at first, until maybe the second season, where his character with Edgar develops more gradually. Now, how I would put him in is that he doesn't join Edgar and Alan's crew until around the last 2 episodes of the first season, building on to the second season episodes, leaving us on a cliffhanger on what they're about to do. Now, I wouldn't introduce Samuel into the mix until, like I said, maybe episode 6 or 7, if there's a 10-episode run of the Frog Brothers series. That's how I would put him in, and that way you could build onto his character in the second season and then you could show him bonding with Edgar and kind of having a father-son relationship together before anything else is going on. And honestly, that's all I really have. I think that the actor pick is perfect, and, well, it just depends how the director chooses to have him be portrayed. Would he be a brat? Would he be someone who is very similar to Sam in some regards? I kind of would make him a smart-ass character, kind of like Sam, but he's also got some of his mom's qualities. Also, I would make him have vampire abilities. Maybe Sam did get a girl pregnant while he was a vampire. It's happened before because vampires can't reproduce, but on Angel it did happen, so we could say it was one of those miracles that happened. Anyhow, I'm done talking about the characters I would include. Maybe there's more, maybe not, but these are the most interesting ones and story arcs to where the characters from the first movie went. I don't care about Star or where she went, so now I'm going to get to the part of who I would let handle this entire series here. Let's move on. Well, if I was going to pick a director, there's no other person I would pick that knows Edgar's personality or the Frog Brothers' personality better than Feldman himself. I think Feldman would be a perfect director for this. Now, who I would let run the series, where the series should be streamed or whatever, should be on Netflix. Don't go for YouTube Red or anything like that. Then there's the effects. Now, this is an important piece, the effects. The second movie suffered heavily from the bad effects, and I think with the right budget, we could get good effects again. I wouldn't use as much CG. The third movie actually kind of countered this with some decent effects, even though some of them were just a little silly, but the vampire makeup itself was excellent. I've got to say that, but I would go for using more of that classic style from the first movie for the vampire effects. When something is in front of the camera, it makes it all the more better and watchable. Adding all these together just honestly would beat for beat a very loving, tender care. And there's no one else better than, well, Edgar Frog himself doing the directing. I don't know how the production value would go or anything, but I think if Netflix ran this for how good Cobra Kai looks and the effects they're using in Cobra Kai, this could be done very well. You could get the right kind of green screen and get the right kind of fights too. Honestly, yeah, I think this would be a perfect run. Basically with a good story arc, good characters, and have reoccurring characters. Now, like I said, I wouldn't have these guys always constantly come back to Michael and whoever, but it would be good to have some resolve for their story. However, this is just pretty much how I would run it, and who I would cast, and that's about it for this video. Anyway, I did want to talk about the intro concept before I finally finish off the video. This is my last little detail here. Anyhow, Corey is actually a singer, and he's a pretty decent singer too, by that. If you've ever heard any of his concerts, or if you've actually ever heard the song that's playing at the very beginning of my video, he's singing that himself. And here's what I would do for my idea for the concept of the music video. It would be about 30 seconds long, and it would be Cry Little Sister, but Feldman would be singing the cover. And then it would like show the introduction of some of the other characters or whatever. I actually compiled a little list on how I would see the intro playing out, but I couldn't find good shots of the other actors in their adult age doing anything else. So I mainly just put Feldman and Alan, and, well, here it is. After this intro plays, then I'll close the video out. So that finishes my Frog Brothers TV show spinoff from the Lost Boys on a TV series. I mean, what did you guys think of that? Is there any suggestions you would do? Tell me in the comments. Always remember, I'm listening.
Hello, this is Corey Feldman. Welcome to my studio here in Los Angeles, California, and I just wanted to pop in to say congratulations to Tim. Mr. Tim, I hope everybody's enjoying your videos. He's got some great content, and if you're enjoying his content, make sure you click on that little button right there that says subscribe. Why? Because everything on his channel is Bossa Nova. That's right. Congratulations on your channel, Mr. Tim. I'll be following you, and I know everybody else will too. People.